Olivia,
Hi.
we have never met in person.
No.
So crazy, but somehow you found us. Want to tell
hmm
us how you found us?
Yeah. So actually, my mom and dad go to church with you and Jenny. And she overheard a conversation with somebody else that you guys were amazing. And because I was having a trouble finding a conventional counselor or therapist, she was like, "Hey, I overheard this conversation about these people I go to church with. Why don't you give them a call?" And that's how it happened.
What caused you to seek help?
I have struggled with anxiety for the majority of my life, um, even back from when I was a kid, and I didn't have the words to really the vocabulary to explain what anxiety was. Like, I didn't know what anxiety was, but I knew there was something wrong with me. And I was really kind of at a breaking point where something had to change because of how limited I was in my life and how much it was holding me back. And I live in Indiana. My brother lives in Texas. We were supposed to be traveling down to Texas for his wedding, and I can't drive 20 minutes from home without a panic attack. How was I going to make it 1,000 miles to Texas? So I needed I needed some help. I don't know how many years ago. I want to say maybe 6 years ago. Sought help from another faith-based counselor, but it was a conventional therapist who was a Christian. So it wasn't like prayer-based or anything like what CrossCounsel does.
Is there an experience or two where we stepped into the melt process with the memory, emotion, lie, truth transformation, where you feel like, wow, I never thought that I could get so much freedom or experience Jesus like that?
Definitely. I did not expect this memory to pop up because it's not something I had thought of for years. My dad was military and we moved around a lot. And so one of the places that we moved to was Washington State. We were about half an hour south of Lacey, which we had just learned in school. I was in third grade. I had just learned in school like a month or two earlier that Lacey is like an hour south of Mount St. Helens, right? This volcano that had erupted in the 80s. And we had learned all about volcanoes. And I was terrified, right? Like I couldn't sleep at night. And I just remember being 8 years old and terrified for no reason. Like I knew the volcano wasn't going to erupt, right? Like that was a once in a millennia thing. But my brain was like, but what if it happens? What if it happens? What are you going to do? How are you going to get out of here? How are you going to keep the family safe? You're not safe. And I remember my parents coming in and, they were able to be, they were like, Olivia, it's not going to happen. This is why, like logically explaining to me. But I, I logically knew it wasn't going to happen, but I couldn't believe that. Um, and I remember, in this memory, I went back there and I just remember in this memory, like I was so scared. I was so terrified. And just that raw emotion was something that I was not expecting because it was our first session. And I just remember you asking, like, can we invite Jesus into that? And I was like, yeah, we can. Let's see what happens. Um, and it completely changed the memory because now the memory I have is that yes, I was scared, but I was so wrapped in the love of Christ and I was so valued by him that it didn't matter what happened. What mattered is that he was there with me and I was loved and valued.
Right. It's an example of two really great things. There's a lot of people that grow up with uh, disconnected parents, unsupportive parents, broken parents
Mhm.
that don't know how to help their kids. You
Right.
grew up with parents that were attentive, that did
hmm
speak truth into your life, but just like anybody else, they're not Jesus, and they can't do what
Right.
you can. So it's just
Right.
difficult to just see that because some people think, well, I had a good home, I had good parents.
Right. I was in a really dark place after I had lost my dream job. Not because of anything that I did. It was circumstances beyond my control. It was a toxic work environment. And I didn't realize how much I had pushed that aside and let that define who I was. I thought I was a complete failure. And I believed all these terrible things that were said about me at the workplace, even though these things are happening to other people too. And so in the process, I was able to actually go back to those raw emotions that I was feeling for the 3 years that I was working there. a place that I never thought that I would revisit, and was able to go there and come out of it seeing myself entirely different, and just the sense of peace that washes over you, um, is incredible.
And so that and other sessions led to, okay, you did have to head down to Texas. You did have
Right,
that trek. Then what happened?
right. I mean, it was it was weird. It was crazy. My parents, my husband, both of like all of them were like, "You did really good. Like we didn't know what to expect, and this was nothing like you normally are." Before, I was always on edge, always anxious about something, always panicking. And this time I felt calm in my spirit. So my brain was like, there's something wrong. You're not freaking out. We should probably find something to freak out about.
Mm.
And it didn't happen. Like there was nothing to freak out about. And Texas is 1,000 miles away. We spent 24 hours on a train to get there. I was going all over the place. Like, I had zero control over any of the schedule or where we were going. We even took a day trip down to San Antonio and we walked around all day. Like, that's something that I would never have been able to do before. Even when we got back, I had scheduled myself an extra day off from work just to give myself time to recover, like from the mental and physical load of anxiety. I didn't need that extra day. I actually ended up going to Hobby Lobby, which is my favorite store. And even though it's my favorite store, I can't spend more than 5 or 10 minutes in there typically. I'm a get in, get what I need, and get out. And if I can't find it in 5 minutes, find it on Amazon. I spent 3 hours in Hobby Lobby looking at fabric. Um, like, who am I? So it's like it's those little things that I never thought that I could spend 3 hours in a store 10 minutes away from my house, and I ended up 1,000 miles away in Texas. Yeah, just that I think I got home and I just fell to my knees crying, just tears of joy, really,
Right.
um, just because of the absolute freedom that I've experienced, and it was only like 6 sessions, I think. So yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, the gratitude that just like you couldn't hold it back. It's just
Mhm.
there.